When I got pregnant with my second child, I called Callum. The person who answered the phone was his assistant, speaking in a gentle voice. Callum is in the shower. I'll tell him what you want later. She also heard her son calling her mother affectionately. I turned around and walked into the operating room to have an abortion, packed my bags, and filed for divorce. Callum sneered, "If you want a divorce, the custody of our son will be mine, and you will never see the child again." I nodded with satisfaction. "Okay, I don't want either you or your son." Later, I had a well-behaved daughter and an obedient husband. I looked at Callum, who came to beg me to go home, and said with a smile, "I'm married, don't disturb me." On Mother's Day, Callum brought his son to celebrate the birthday of his assistant Nova. I asked him why, but he said, "Nova has been in the company for 5 years, what's wrong with me celebrating her birthday with her?" Callum and I had a big argument. Callum sneered impatiently, "Shooting Shah, it was you who climbed into my bed and gave birth to Rowan. It is his free choice whether he wants to celebrate Mother's Day with you or not." I held my son Rowan in my arms and asked, "Why don't you spend Mother's Day with your mom?" Rowan smiled and said, "Because Aunt Nova's birthday is more important. It's not hard for you to stay at home every day, so you don't need to celebrate Mother's Day." I was stunned, and Rowan pulled my clothes again. "Mom, can you please not pick me up in the future?" I smiled awkwardly. "Why?" Rowan said, "Because Aunt Nova came to pick me up today. They all said that Aunt Nova is very beautiful. I hope Aunt Nova will pick me up from now on." At that moment, my smile froze on my face and my heart was completely broken. The child I have raised for 6 years told me that Mother's Day is not as important as other people's birthdays. My tears immediately fell, and Callum squinted at me. "Why are you crying? What right do you have to cry? Even if you are wronged, you should bear it." Shujisha, don't feel that you are wronged. If you have the guts, just get a divorce. For Rowan, I quit my job and raised him myself for 6 years. All I spent day and night with him was just a word of unimportance. Today, outside the OB/GYN department, I called Callum. The call was answered by a woman with a sweet and gentle voice. "Callum is taking a shower. I'll tell him if you have anything to say." There was the sound of dripping water on the phone, and Callum's deep voice. "Nova, get me a towel." I also heard my son calling Nova Mom in a clear voice. I looked down at the 4 weeks of pregnancy on the white sheet and smiled. "Oh, tell him to meet at the Civil Affairs Bureau tomorrow." I turned and walked into the operating room, and the doctor asked me, "Are you sure you want to abort it? Have you discussed this with your family?" I nodded. "Okay." After leaving the hospital, I saw a photo posted on Nova's Moments with the caption, "3 people." The photo shows my son, my husband, and Nova, the 3 of them gathered together to eat hot pot. Callum has always been reluctant to eat hot pot with me because he thinks the taste is too strong, but when he is with Nova, he doesn't mind the taste anymore. Right, look, what a harmonious family of 3. There is another photo of a parent-child activity on campus. I sent a message to Rowan's teacher and found out that this was an activity organized by the school on Mother's Day. The teacher asked me in surprise, "Rowan's mother, didn't you come that day?" I looked at the message on my phone and smiled. Even the parent-child activities on campus didn't invite me. The biological mother. After the operation, I dragged my tired body back home. The huge house was empty. I packed my suitcase, opened the refrigerator and made a pack of instant noodles. The pain in my body mixed with the sadness spread, and I swallowed my tears mixed with foam. I took out the divorce agreement that Callum had coerced and bribed me to sign several times, and signed 3 big words, Shujisha. At that moment, I felt relaxed all over. I put the divorce agreement in a prominent place. My relationship with Callum was neither smooth nor glorious. I had a crush on him for 5 years. During this time he always had a girlfriend and I never dared to get even a step closer to him. Nova is his ex-girlfriend. Later, Nova was admitted to a foreign university and broke up with Callum. At that time, Callum was squatting in the bar. Under the dim light, the man looked inexplicably depressed. I handed him a tissue and he smiled softly, with some self-deprecating meaning. "Are you here to laugh at me?" I shook my head in panic. "No, senior." He gently pulled my hand. And I lost my balance and fell on him. He asked me, "Will you stay with me?" My heart was beating very fast at that moment. The smell of alcohol lingered in my nostrils and his cheeks flushed slightly. My original intention was just to hope that he would not be sad. His nose touched mine. "Do you like me?" Junior high school girl. I couldn't help but get nervous. I thought I had hidden my feelings very well. My heart was beating wildly and I nodded, "Yeah." He was drunk and hugged me forcefully and kissed me randomly. To be honest, I don't know who was taking advantage of me. It could be him or it could be me. But I refused. "Senior, I am not Nova." He nodded. "You like me, don't you?" The tears at the corners of my eyes fell. "Yeah." He was so strong that he whispered, "Nova." When I woke up, I ran away quietly. I forgot to use contraception and found out I was pregnant 2 months later. My mother dragged me to the street and yelled at me, "If you don't tell me who that wild man is today, you'll have no chance of getting by." It's so embarrassing. You know that. The stick hit me hard and I tried my best to dodge. I didn't tell her. But my mom checked the surveillance and found out it was Callum. She didn't let me have an abortion. So she went to Callum's house and the elders of Callum's family forced Callum to marry me. My mother said the bride price should be 200,000 yuan. Callum pinched my chin and asked me, "Why don't you get an abortion? Do I have to tell the person I secretly love in person that my mother is greedy and wants to exchange the baby in my belly for money from your family?" My lower abdomen was aching, and Callum came home with our son in the middle of the night. In the past, I would definitely leave a light on for him, but now I won't. He stood at the end of the bed, reeking of alcohol, and asked me with a frown, "Why didn't you leave the lights on today?" I was already feeling uncomfortable after my miscarriage, and he made so much noise while taking a shower in the middle of the night. I was filled with anger. "It's too bright. I can't sleep." I spoke so loudly that he was stunned. I've liked him for so many years, but this is the first time I've gotten angry at him. I couldn't help squinting my eyes. "The light is too bright. Turn it off. If you want to take a shower, go next door." When I got up, I found the divorce agreement on the table had not been signed yet. In the past, Callum always complained that I didn't have my own life, but I liked sharing my daily life with him. When I opened the chat history, it was all green. It was all messages I sent, and he didn't reply to a single one. I sent him a message again today. "Are you free? When will the divorce agreement be signed? I am always available to accompany you to the Civil Affairs Bureau to get a divorce." He still didn't get back to me. I didn't go to pick up my son from school in the evening. He said in person that he wanted Aunt Nova to pick him up, so I let Nova pick him up. He also complained that my cooking was bad, saying it wasn't as delicious as the KFC that Aunt Nova took him to, so I don't have to cook for him anymore. I just happened to be too lazy to do it. I ordered takeout and ate some crayfish, watched a variety show and drank soda, and Callum suddenly came back. He frowned, held his son's hand, and asked me coldly, "Why don't you go pick up the child?" While eating the crayfish, I glanced at my son who looked aggrieved and asked blankly, Didn't Rowan tell me not to pick him up?" Callum stopped talking, glanced at the dining table and asked me, "You didn't cook?" In the past, Callum never came home to have dinner with me. I would wait from dawn to dusk until he came home drunk. So I learned my lesson. Since neither the father nor his son wanted to eat it, why should I make it? I looked at him in confusion. "You never went home for dinner before, didn't you? Wouldn't it be a waste if I did it?" His face turned a little gloomy and he glanced at the crayfish shells on the table. He sat next to me with his son, and I ordered a lot of barbecue in addition to crayfish. When I saw him rolling up his sleeves, I knew something was wrong. I protected the crayfish and he raised his eyelids and looked at me. I coughed lightly. "I don't have enough to eat. You can order it yourself." Rowan looked at me with tears in her eyes. Callum's face darkened even more, and he took out his phone to ask his assistant to deliver the food. He looked at me with a look that made me numb. "Shujisha, you even forgot to pick up your son. You're not as good as Nova. If you don't want a son anymore, just give the child to Nova. Eat here by yourself. Your son will be waiting for you at the school gate. Do you know how cold it is outside today?" That's funny. I don't want to take him. He doesn't want to acknowledge me as his mother at all. Nova mom anyway. I looked down at the little man at my feet who looked almost identical to Callum. Rowan glared at me. "I don't want you. I want Nova mommy." Looking at this child whose appearance has nothing to do with me but who has caused me so much suffering. I feel so sorry for myself. Do you want love? I turned around and washed my hands, ignoring the father and son. Callum's family has a family gathering every month, and Nova always appears as the hostess. Rowan's birthday today is no exception. Several noble ladies surrounded Nova, who was wearing a dark green dress, and Callum, who was also wearing a dark green haute couture suit. I have to say Callum looks really good, otherwise I wouldn't have liked him for so many years. He has delicate features, a high nose bridge and a tall figure, which makes him stand out in the crowd. Today, Rowan refused to wear the clothes I gave him. It wasn't until I saw Nova holding his hand and he was wearing a dark green tuxedo that I understood. It turns out they are wearing parent-child outfits. The three of them stood together, and everyone felt that they were a family of three. When Rowan made a wish, he was held in Callum's arms, and he put his hands together. I hope Aunt Nova can be my mother. Callum, without changing my expression. Callum raised his eyelids and looked at me. He asked me, if you had raised your child well, would your child have made such a wish? Rowan was born after I carried him in my womb for 10 months. He went through life and death, and I am the one who suffered the most. What right does he have to blame me? Nova greeted the relatives coming and going in a familiar manner. Callum asked me, you are the hostess. What are you doing sitting here? I was still drinking my coffee leisurely. Drinking coffee. Didn't you see, in the past, I was the one doing all the dirty work in Callum's house. I worked in the kitchen with the servants to clean and cook, while Nova pretended to be the hostess outside. Whoever wants to be the hostess can be the hostess. At this time, Callum's sister came over and called Nova affectionately, sister-in-law, where is my brother? She turned around and instructed me to do the work skillfully. Shujisha, what are you doing here? Go and help wash the fruit. A portion of mango was placed in front of me. I am allergic to mangoes, and she knew it but still deliberately made things difficult for me. I was unmoved, and she got angry. When you seduced my brother, you didn't seem so righteous. If it weren't for you, Sister Nova would have become my sister-in-law a long time ago. I shook the coffee in my hand, pretending to throw it at her. You're crazy. Don't go crazy in front of me. Nova, who was standing by, handed the peeled mango to me. I am severely allergic to mangoes, and even a little bit of it will make me uncomfortable. Nova knew that I was once hospitalized due to mango allergy. Jisha, have some. I cut it specially for you. I pushed her hand away, and she exclaimed and looked at me aggrievedly. I just want you to eat mango, Jisha. If you don't welcome me, I'll just leave. Don't be angry. Rowan came up to me and pushed me, crying and saying that I was bullying Nova. Callum frowned and immediately stepped forward to check Nova's hand. He stared at me with a gloomy face. Shujisha, what are you doing? Apologize. His eyes were grim, his deep voice revealed a hint of displeasure, and his expression was stern with a hint of rebuke. I met his eyes. My mouth was already burning with pain from when it touched the mango just now. I don't apologize. Callum grabbed my arm and looked at me gloomily. Shujisha, I'll say this one last time. Apologize. I glared at him coldly. I'll say this one last time. I won't apologize. Callum's sister rushed over to me and slapped me on the cheek. I raised my hand and slapped her back. Callum, I'm allergic to mangoes. If it's serious, I'll have to be hospitalized. You and Nova know that. What does Nova mean by deliberately feeding me mangoes? Also, you and she wore couple outfits today. And Rowan wore parent-child outfits. Don't think I can't see what you are thinking. Have you ever treated me as your wife? After all these years, have you ever cared about how I'm doing in your house? Even your sister doesn't recognize me as her sister-in-law because you never considered me your wife. From now on, your sister can call whoever she wants sister-in-law, and your son can call whoever he wants mother. Callum froze in place, and I decisively turned around and left. When I got home, I held the divorce agreement and waited for Callum. Sign it. Callum held a white pregnancy notice in front of me and said, I'll go with you to the prenatal checkup tomorrow. I was wrong about what happened during the day. I apologize to you. I waved my hands and said, I aborted the baby. He stood there in a daze, his expression gloomy and his eyes slightly unhappy. Shujisha, what did you say? He squeezed my arm so hard that it hurt. I shook his hand off and said, I said I had a miscarriage. Don't you understand? I saw his face becoming more and more ugly, and he looked at me coldly. Sign it. Callum, we're getting divorced. When he saw the divorce agreement, he raised his eyelids and looked at me. Shujisha, you tried so hard to marry into our Callum family. And now you want a divorce so easily. What are you up to? What are you planning to play hard to get? I listened to him quietly and replied, whatever you think, you've wanted a divorce for a long time, right? Now is the perfect time. Hurry up and sign it. Callum nodded, and he snorted, divorce is fine. But I will have custody of our son, and you will never see him again. I lifted my eyelids and looked at him. Do you really think that I can't bear to leave my child? Do you really think that the child can hold me hostage? I nodded. That's great. I don't want anything more from you and your son except money. After saying this, Callum's face darkened. Don't worry, I will never disturb you, nor will I fight for custody. Callum narrowed his eyes and looked at me. Shujisha, don't try to play any tricks. I laughed. Callum, I'm serious. Callum signed. I quickly packed my suitcase and moved. Rowan stood behind me and asked me, Mom, where are you going? You haven't given me my birthday present yet. Today happens to be Rowan's birthday. He was born after I vomited during my 10-month pregnancy. I squatted down and pinched his little face, then put on my sunglasses. My gift is to give you a new mother. Don't you like Aunt Nova? From now on you can stay with Aunt Nova every day. Rowan's face instantly fell. Mom, where are you going? I want to go with you. Nova in the distance. She is your mother. I'm not your mother. Rowan looked at me with disdain. Oh, I don't believe you. You must be reluctant to leave me. You are so childish. You run away from home at such an age. I pinched his face hard. How could the child I carried in my heart for 10 months be such a disgusting kid? Callum stood beside Nova and said to me, don't regret it. I smiled at him. I only regret marrying you. After the divorce, I got a large sum of money. Life with money and no children is so great. I travel everywhere and no longer have to think about the kids or Callum. I watched the great animal migration in Africa and went to the Sahara Desert. I feel that apart from my children and husband, there are so many meaningful things in life. At least I shouldn't be around them. They're not worth it. But I was having so much fun that I fainted on the road due to low blood sugar. People from the surrounding villages were afraid to help me because they were afraid that I was trying to scam them. I was completely exhausted. Only a little girl stood beside me and said softly, Auntie, Auntie, wake up. She stayed by my side until the ambulance arrived. In order to find this little girl, I went to the orphanage. The children looked at me cautiously. The director asked me, do you want to adopt a child? I shook my head. I want to sponsor these children. Here. I saw the little girl who saved me that day. She lowered her head and played with her hands. And her eyes were clear when she looked at me. She was very beautiful and cute, but she was still abandoned by her parents. The director told me, this child came to the orphanage on his own. He has scars all over his body from being beaten by his parents. She can already wash clothes and cook at such a young age. The moment she looked me in the eye, I saw myself as a child. Many children here were abandoned by their parents because of their disabilities. But she was the only one who voluntarily entered the orphanage. Pointing at her, I asked the dean, can I take her for a walk? She looked at me timidly. I asked her what her name was. She said in a clear and pleasant voice, my name is Shinjaudi. I was stunned when I heard the name. I touched her face and said, are you willing to go with your aunt? Perhaps. I want to save her, and also want to save my childhood self. I changed her name. She hesitated for a long time and took my hand. Mom. I squatted down and looked into her eyes, and called her softly, Wuyo. Can you call me Wuyo from now on? I hope she grows up carefree. Wuyo slowly opened her eyes and nodded. Okay, I take her to school, take her to Disney, and take her to places I wanted to go as a kid. I once fell in love with Callum because of something he did to me. I was lacking love at that time. And that was the first time I accepted kindness. In the alley, my mother beat me with a bamboo stick. Blood seeped through my shoulders and tore my thin shirt. Who told you not to wash the dishes today? If you don't cook, what will your brother eat? I choked up and explained, I have evening study today, but he still couldn't escape a beating. My clothes were torn by my mother, and that's when Callum came. He put his coat on me and handed me a tissue. Stop crying. He only left his back. But it is this back view that Nova will never forget. He risked everything he had, so If I treat Wooyo nicer, she won't repeat the same mistakes and won't go down my path. I won't lose myself because of a little love. Wooyo is very sensible. She gets up early to make breakfast for me. I was stunned when I saw the table full of breakfast. She looked at me cautiously, and I couldn't help crying while biting the fried egg. She wiped away the tears from my eyes with her little hands. Mom, don't cry. Rowan and Wooyo called me Mom was completely different. Every look from Wooyo was sincere. Is it because Wooyo's cooking is not tasty? I cried because I felt sorry for her for having to be sensible at such a young age. I hugged her and said, Wooyo, Mom will do this kind of thing from now on. In the middle of the night, I received a strange phone call. The child on the phone was sobbing softly. Mom, Mom. The other side anxiously said, Hello, is this Rowan's mother? Rowan has a fever and is in the hospital now. His father is on the way. Can you come over now? I remembered the wish Rowan made on his birthday. He hoped that Nova would be his mother. Since he is sick, why should I join in the fun? I can just think of it as giving birth to a child for someone else with my own belly. I shook my head in denial. I'm not his mother. I'll give you his mother's phone number. I gave Nova's phone number. During the day, Callum called me and said, Rowan had a fever last night. You said you're not his mother. He is still sick. Would you like to come to the hospital? I looked at Wooyo on the bed and said, Callum, it was you who said that if we divorced, you wouldn't let me see Rowan, so I won't break the contract. He likes Nova. He should go to Nova instead of me. After a long silence, Callum said, You are his biological mother. He doesn't want Nova. He said he wants you. But when has Callum ever treated me as his wife? And when has Rowan ever treated me as his mother? Callum, I can't go, because Wooyo also had a fever. I heard Rowan shouting, Mom, Mom. He cried heartbreakingly. But I will never be soft-hearted because of his crying again. I sent Wooyo to the same kindergarten as Rowan because it is the best kindergarten in Beijing. I think Wooyo should have the best so that he won't be cheated in the future. But a fire broke out in the kindergarten. Callum also called me to tell me. His voice was trembling with fear. There was an arson attack on Rowan Kindergarten. Can you come over? At the entrance of the kindergarten, I saw Callum holding Rowan, and Rowan yelled at me, Mom, Mom, I'm here. The chills spread throughout my body and I rushed into the school. Callum shouted my name, Shujisha, I'm here. Rowan also shouted desperately, Mom, Mom, I'm here. I didn't look at them. I ran to the bodies covered with white sheets and uncovered them one by one like the other parents. I was trembling with fear. When I was bathing Wooyo, I found that she was covered with wounds. She doesn't dare to eat too much when she eats. I asked her why and she told me, I'm afraid my mother won't like me if I eat too much. Later, the dean told me that because Wooyo's family was poor, he would be beaten if he ate too much. She learned to wash clothes and cook at a very young age. Her hands were covered with calluses, and she had to cook while carrying her younger brother on her back. She is so pitiful. I don't want her to leave this world before she can be happy with me. I covered my mouth and dared not cry. Rowan ran to my side and pulled my clothes. Mom, I'm here. When he saw that I ignored him, he shouted even louder. Mom, Rowan is here. Callum took my hand. His brows furrowed. What are you looking for, Jisha? Rowan is not dead. I was trembling all over, afraid to see Wooyo's pale face appear, until a soft voice sounded behind her. She cried out, Mom. Her clothes were torn and her face was black as she lay on a stretcher. The moment I saw her, I rushed up to hug her. No worries. No worries. Rowan pulled me and asked, Mom, don't you want me anymore? Mom, look at me. Look at me. I'm Rowan. I looked at him. I know, but I'm not your mother. Wooyo was sent to the operating room. She was burned and bleeding heavily. I didn't have time to argue with the father and son. Outside the operating room, kind-hearted people kept donating blood. Wooyo and I have the same blood type. But the doctor told me, you can't donate blood. Mothers and daughters cannot donate blood. I panicked. No, I'm not her biological mother. I'm her adoptive mother. The doctor looked at the report and told me, the paternity test is 99.9%. How can they not be mother and daughter? Until Wooyo was pushed out of the operating room, I couldn't believe that she was my biological daughter. I only have Rowan as my child. I looked at the doctor in astonishment. Callum was holding Rowan in a daze. I was pregnant with twins, a boy and a girl. But when the other one was born I was told that it had died. Callum stayed with Rowan until Wuyo woke up. Rowan tried every way to make me laugh, but I couldn't. He told me about the funny things that happened in school. I couldn't help but stop him. Rowan, can you be quiet? I'm very tired now. He kept calling me Mom, and I used all my patience to tell him, Rowan, your mom is Nova. He looked at me aggrievedly. No, you are my mother. I walked down the hallway and called Nova and told her bluntly, your son is in the hospital, along with Callum. You can come and take them both away when you have time. Nova paused when she heard what I said. And I hung up before she could say anything else. When we got back to the ward, I whispered to Callum, I've asked Nova to come over. You guys can leave later. Callum sighed. Do you have to be so extreme? Am I so desperate? Isn't this the result he wants? Callum glanced at Wuyo on the bed, and now found that Wuyo and I are somewhat similar. At least let me know whose child Wuyo is. Go away and don't come again. Wuyo is so young, she doesn't know her own life experience. Callum took Rowan away. Rowan cried and hugged my thighs. Mom, I won't leave, I won't leave. I looked down at him and felt helpless as I watched him act like a rogue. Callum squatted down and comforted him. Callum has changed. He shouldn't be like this. He shouldn't be around me and shouldn't be nice to me. When I was pregnant, he hated me, and I tried every way to make him like me. On a snowy night, I would run all over the city and deliver the hot chestnuts to their company just because he said he wanted to eat sugar-roasted chestnuts. Callum saw me. He didn't come forward, but asked me impatiently, what are you doing here? I carefully took out the sugar-roasted chestnuts. I heard you say you wanted to eat sugar-roasted chestnuts. Later, he didn't eat the bag of sugar-roasted chestnuts because Nova posted a message on WeChat Moments. The rewards from the boss are delicious and sweet. Nova captured the corner of Callum's clothes and his back. Nova and I commented, Nova, you and Callum have reconciled. Congratulations to the lovers for finally getting married. Callum liked it, but he didn't deny it. Today it snowed, and I posted a message to my friends. I really want to eat glutinous rice balls with hot milk tea. Callum came hurriedly, holding 2 servings of glutinous rice balls in his hands. He looked at me cautiously and said, I bought them. However, there was already a copy on the table in front of me. It was Ji Chao Bai, Wuyo's attending physician, who brought me the rice dumplings and hot milk tea. He was examining Wuyo and gently touched Wuyo's face. Have a good rest. Callum stood outside the door in a daze for a moment, then looked at the rice dumplings and hot milk tea in his hands. I followed his gaze and noticed his red hands that were frozen. At this moment, a closed loop seemed to be formed between us. He looked at my empty glutinous rice balls and hot milk tea and said helplessly, I saw you said in your circle of friends that you wanted to drink hot milk tea and glutinous rice balls. The glutinous rice balls in his hand are from Yuan Ji, which are very expensive and limited in quantity each day. You can tell from the snow on his body and his red nose that he has been waiting in line for a long time. I seemed to be late. I asked him, what's the matter? He nodded, and we faced each other calmly in the corridor. He told me, Wuyo is our daughter. I was replaced by Nova and sent to a low-income household. I was stunned when I heard the news, as if it was a sense of fate. When I fainted on the side of the road, it was my biological daughter who stayed with me all the time. Suddenly, Callum reached into his coat pocket and shakily pulled out a rose-red box. He suddenly knelt down on one knee. Jixia, let's remarry. When he knelt, I took a step back and looked at him in confusion. What are you doing? Callum's eyes turned red. 2 children can't be without parents. Rowan misses you every day. Come home, Jixia. I smiled and shook my head. Callum, that's not necessary. I told you. I don't want either you or Rowan anymore. I don't want to be with you anymore. Callum's ring fell to the ground and he looked at it with panic in his eyes. It's so painful to be with him. If I could turn back time, I would never fall in love with him just because of a coat. I looked at the man in front of me carefully. He had good-looking features and beautiful eyes. I think I liked him not only because he put a coat on me, but I also liked his appearance. Callum, in your eyes I have always been an unscrupulous woman, right? But I've liked you for a long time, earlier than you know. Do you still remember when you put clothes on a girl in the alley and told her to go home early because it was not safe outside? That girl was me. I liked you at that time. Actually, when I got pregnant, I wanted to abort the baby. It wasn't because I didn't like you, but because I liked you too much. But my mother found out about it. She would do anything for money. The money you gave me was not in my hands. She made a big fuss and forced you to marry me. I felt sorry for you. So after I married into your family, I took care of you and your family like a nanny. When I think about it, I feel that my efforts over the years have made up for the mistakes I made at the beginning, and it also makes it clear that I don't love you anymore. Callum's eyes gradually turned red. He held my shoulders and walked forward to hug me. Jisha, I was wrong. I pushed him away. You just don't like me. You're not wrong, but I don't think I need to continue the so-called atonement. In fact, you were conscious that night. You chose me yourself, but you regretted it after waking up. Don't you like Nova? Don't you hate me for ruining you too? Now that we're divorced, you can pursue her again. She's waiting for you anyway. He looked at me and shook his head desperately. No, I love you, Jisha. I love you, and I've called the police after Nova took our daughter away. I won't let her go. I stepped back and looked at him. Really? But it's too late. I need to take Wuyo for a follow-up visit on time. Fortunately, Ji Chaobai can help me. He will take time to accompany us mother and daughter when I take Wuyo for a follow-up visit. With Callum has now become full of white. He shared a lot with me, but I didn't reply. He asked me if I needed help taking Wuyo for a follow-up visit, but I didn't respond. I dare not go back. I am still traumatized by my last marriage and don't dare sacrifice myself for a little help from others. When I took Wuyo for a follow-up visit, Callum showed up with Rowan. He was calling my name from behind, and at this moment Ji Chaoyuan was standing beside me holding Wuyo. This scene was dazzling to Callum, and a flash of disappointment passed through his eyes. The light voice carried a hint of self-mockery and helplessness. I'm late. Can I see my daughter? Does she know I'm her father? Callum timidly. The next second, she hugged Ji Chaoyuan's neck and called him dad affectionately. At that moment, Callum's expression froze. I turned around and left with Ji Chaoyuan and Wuyo. Rowan ran to me. Mom, wait for me. He pointed at Wuyo and asked me, is this your sister? Mom, if you want a sister, do you not want me? I smiled and shook my head. It's not that I don't want you anymore. You don't want your mother anymore. Callum walked up to Wuyo with the doll in his hand and gave it to her. Wuyo shook her head. Mom said I can't ask for things from strangers. Callum's hands couldn't help but shake. He asked me, really? Do you have to be so extreme? Shia. Wuyo seemed to have determined that Ji Chaoyuan was her father. I asked her why. Wuyo looked at me with her bright eyes. The one who is good to mom is dad. This is what the teacher said. The teacher said that a father is a father only if he is good to his mother. Dr. G is good to my mother, so Dr. G is my father. On Mother's Day the following year, Rowan called me to wish me a happy Mother's Day. Callum hosted a party for me at Callum's house and he asked if I could go, but I said no. Then he showed up at my doorstep with Rowan, but I already had my own little family, with my daughter Wuyo, and Ji Chaoyuan's home. Callum appeared with a rose in his hand. He and Rowan were both dressed formally. The expectation in their eyes disappeared the moment they saw Ji Chaoyuan. Ji Chaoyuan wore an apron and made dumplings for me, actually. He was very busy at work, but cooking for us had become his habit. Callum held Rowan's hand and said in a trembling voice, excuse me. I saw his eyes quickly turn red and Rowan's aggrieved look. He said, Happy Mother's Day. You have worked hard, Shia. As long as you are happy. I looked at him and smiled. Oh, I hope my happiness can wake your eyes. The father and son left in embarrassment. Later, Rowan often made himself sick in order to get me to visit him. I took Wuyo with me. And the way he tried to carefully please me and Wuyo made me feel a little uncomfortable. I told him, Wuyo is your sister, but now she lives with me and you live with dad. Rowan asked me, why can't mom and dad be together? I thought about it and said, because dad doesn't love mom, and mom doesn't love dad either. I'm going to move with my sister in the future, so you better listen to your father. Callum humbly asked me if he could hug Wuyo, and I nodded in agreement. After all, he was his child. After moving abroad, Ji Chaoyuan often told Wuyo, Dad only wants Wuyo as his child, so Wuyo can grow up happily.